Dragging all around. You didn't throw it around, Jay. Yeah, I would. When were you gonna do that? There you go.
Good morning, everybody. Everybody staying cool. We're gonna call to order now, all with stand and pledge allegiance to the flag. Barry isn't here today, Vice President. We have our board of treasurer, Bruce, our secretary. We have our board of at-large board members, Carol Taylor, Dick too. Dan, he's out for a couple weeks. Steve Morris. Maybe Katie went.
Steve took his sister to the airport.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bob Whalen is away at the moment, and of course, we can't, our donut man. Without him, we wouldn't have a meeting.
Remember that when the raise is due.
Okay. The fall one veteran program, Bob Whalen runs, and we did not have any this one. Thank you for this. So I want to introduce our speaker. Her name is Vernetta Winslow. She is a helicopter mechanic, and she'll be speaking about her career as a helicopter mechanic with the Army National Guard. She's been stationed here at the Arizona National Guard Silver Bell Army Heliport for a decade or more, but she has 32 years of experience. So then if you want to come up and say a few words. I'm not going to just say. Yeah. You're a little shorter than yourself.
No, really? My name is Vernetta Winslow, and I joined the military in 1993. And I came in, I was signal, and that was the Army National, or not the Army National, but the active duty Army. And I did my 4 years. I said I was going to do my 4 years. I was get out. I was going to burn that, you know. That didn't happen. So, I did 4 years active as record telecommunication. I see some people that I see a badge that say they got out when I got in. And then back then it was record telecommunication. It was 74 Charlie. I worked in a comm center. I got to my first duty station was Panama. I didn't know what to expect there, but I was like, yeah, they got Chico. So I went, and that was like my first time like away from home, my first time flying on an airplane. And so I was kind of scared, but then I got there and just started, just jump and run. And I was like, okay, this is okay. I think I can do this. And when I got to Panama, it was awesome. I was like, is this the military? And one of my NCOs said, I wish you went somewhere first, not here. Because we would work 3 days on, 3 days off, and go to the beach and hang out. And then we did that Army stuff, And I was like, this is awesome. And then I was like, that was like in 95, 96, I was ready to come back, and I had the opportunity to stay over there, but I was like, I need to get back to the real world. And so I decided to come back to the States after that, and I got stationed here in Arizona. And, my story is I was like, Arizona, what's in Arizona? And you can look around the room and you don't really see what's colored, maybe a couple. But I was like, Arizona, I associated with cowboys and Indians. And I was like, I look black ass ain't coming out here. And I should apologize right now. I have been in the military a long time. I really have a bad potty mouth, and they slip out all the time. So I apologize, man. I really nice feeling. And so I got stationed out here, and this is hard. Now, to me, when I got out of the airport, it was like, this is hotter than hell. I thought, and so I got stationed here, and I was gonna just do my end of my 4 years and go back to my home is in Virginia. I was gonna go back there, and life happens, and I end up staying out here. One of my friends talked me into joining the National Guard so I could finish school, because that was on my plate, that I was gonna finish college, and I was taking my GI Bill and all that, and I was take off. And she talked me into joining the Guard, and I'm like, okay, well, you know what, Uncle Sam's gonna help me out with my tuition and all that. And I'm like, okay. So I did, and now I'm staying here, and it's been 32 years that I've been in 32 years total of active duty, 4 years in the Army National Guard for the rest. And I don't know how I stayed here this long, but my MOS changed. I became a helicopter mechanic, so I worked on the Apaches. I worked on the A64 A models, and then I went to D models, if you know the difference. And I loved it. I still got to go places. I still got to travel. I like doing that crazy stuff. I like working on stuff. So that was always a plus, pulling engines out and doing all that crazy stuff and working upside down. And, and I work with a lot of guys too. So, that's the potty mouth comes in handy with that too. And so, we got to, I got to learn a whole lot of different stuff. I got to, travel. I did do 2 tours in Afghanistan. And it was bad in one way and great in a way, because I felt like I was doing something for our country. I felt like I had a purpose, and, we got to load all that ammo, because before we just do training here all the time. We train for war, and this was the real deal. We were going out and we were helping the ground guys, and we got to load real rockets and not dummies and real ammo, and we were the ones that were there first. So we started the aircraft up. Like, I was really going to take off. I got to start the aircraft up. We got to load the ammo and stuff, and our pilots got to go off. And sometimes it was not very good. We had a couple of planes that got shot down. The first time I went back, we got everybody back home. We lost a couple of aircraft, but that was it. And the second time I went over, everybody that went with me came back home. It was a little scary at times, because when you go to war, you like, okay, you're scared, but then you get there and it becomes like an everyday thing. And that's my own experience though. And so it became an everyday experience that people go, oh, did you get shot at? Yeah, I got shot at. We had a V-bed, we had rocket attacks all the time. But it became the norm, which is crazy, but that's just how it is. Then we come back and we do training, and so I am a federal technician too. So I work on the aircraft every day. And so when I come back, I just go back to my regular job, which is working on helicopters. And I work out at Canal Air Park, and I still do. And I have 6 months left in the military and 6 months left as a technician. So I am ready to retire. And like I said in the beginning, I never thought that this was gonna do my career for this long. I thought I was gonna do that 4 years and get out. And I think what made me stay is just the camaraderie I have with people that I work with, people that I got deployed with. And, we laugh at the most outrageous things. Somebody told me to tell some great stories. I don't know what great stories are because all of mine are pretty dirty. So, the things that stick out is just like, the experience of just being there and doing for my part, and just, showing up every day. And when you really get into that war and it's for real and it's serious, and you know that someone like this at stake, it's not fun and games anymore, and I think a lot of people don't understand that. That's why, like, when we come back with all these issues. And I do have a funny story about that, kind of funny. When I came back and the first time, and I was like, I'm good, I don't got no PTSD or none of that stuff. I am good. And I went to take my car for an oil change, and I was sitting there, I was chilled, just hanging out, waiting. And then the guy said, well, it's gonna take a lot longer because your car is kind of messed up, okay? And then he said it's gonna take a little longer. So I like, okay, I'm gonna go get breakfast, I'll be back. And I went back, and then I see them, like, they had this big glass, and I see them bringing my car in, and it was like I was just like off just like that, the little angry black girl. And I went back there, I was like, hey, what's up with my car? And the guy was like, oh, we got your car maintenance. I'm like, how do you do that? Well, I got this type of car, and this is the other car you got. And it's like, all my friends started calling me up later on and said, hey, you might need to go talk to somebody. I'm like, okay, you don't do stuff like that. And, things change. I talked with some people, and it was like, it's not that serious when you get back here. But those are the things that we go through, and I know a lot of times people don't talk about it, but now today you have to, you really have to, because you keep it up and inside of you, it just comes out sideways. And I see there's a lot of Navy people in here, some Air Force people in here, and we have all those sayings that we say, and but I don't really have like stories other than, just being a mechanic and working on a helicopter and, pulling engines, and sometimes maybe putting stuff on backwards and you catch it, and what I remember is that, when somebody's flying, they can't pull over to the gas station. So what you do, you have to do correctly. And, we always have someone to check. And that's the reason why, because you can't just pull over and say, hey, I got a flat tire. My hydraulic fluid started spewing out, and I got, the little beetle saying, I gotta go. And so when I go to work, it's serious, but then when I not working, it's just like relax times, and because life can't be that serious all the time, and I don't know how long I talk about. It's like, hey, has it been 15 minutes or 20 minutes or what? But I think like being a federal technician I have a lot of experience of doing work and work on the helicopter, so it comes kind of like second nature sometimes, I think. But everything is always changing, so it's never boring. And that's one of the things that I like too. It's never boring because it's always some kind of myth or async that comes out, and you gotta move something else, fix something else, or they find out that something's broken, so you just go fix it. And I think one of my other stories, my best day working as a technician was I was working on the A model Apaches, and my helicopter happened to PL, which is precautionary landing, and it was over on one of the native lands over here past like you're going to Phoenix, and I came in because they usually fly at night. They had to get night flights in. So I came in that morning and said, hey, your aircraft PL, get your stuff together and we're gonna fly out there and get it fixed and bring it back. And so I went in there, I got all of my tools that I could think of, like what it could be, and put them in this bag. And a couple of the Black Hawk pilots at that time came, picked us up. So we flew out there. We took about 10 minutes to fix this aircraft. And then we got back, they flew out because the Apaches only 2 minutes. So it's a pilot and co-pilot, so we don't get to fly on it. So we got back in the Black Hawk, and it's still that Black Hawk pilots don't like Apache pilots and vice versa. So they talk shit because the Apaches are slower because they're super heavy because of all the ammo they carry and the weapon. And so they were like, they're so fucking slow, come on, so they kept passing them. And then we stopped for lunch in one of the little airports, and we had lunch, and we got back. And we flew back, and we got back to the flight line, and it's like I tied my aircraft down, put my tools up, and I went home. And that was like my best day. So I got to fly out, fix it, and come back. So that was like my best technician work day ever. So that's kind of how it's been. We've done a lot of training. I've been to a lot of different places, in the States. Some really sucked and some didn't. When I went to Fort Oro, I think in California, that really sucks. That training for like 2 weeks sucked. It was hot, it was just dirty, but it was what you did, just did it. And that's kind of like it. That's kind of how it's been, you do something for a little while, it sucks, and you move on, and it gets better, and then it sucks again, it gets better, and it sucks again. So that's kind of it, I have no idea. I kind of have an idea, but I'm just like tired. I want to retire. And I know I don't look that old, but I'll be 60 next year. That's my little joke. Anyway. And I think that's it. I think I talked enough. Somebody else got some questions for me.
You go from one MO to being a mechanic. How much training do you need?
So I went to the school for 4 months. So, and I went 4 months to transition from signal to attack helicopter. And then when I transitioned from working on 8 models to Delta models, I went to school for 6 weeks. When I transitioned from working on Apaches to working on Black Hawks, I went to school, it was 10 weeks.
You did it for a while.
I work on Black Hawks right now. I don't like them, but my heart and soul, I guess, are with that. Yeah.
Which caused you more problems being in the military? Being black or being a woman?
All of So, yeah. It's still, it's stuff that people don't talk about, but they talk about it behind closed doors. So, oh yeah, and usually I am the only one, especially in working on helicopters. Usually I'm the only female working on helicopters, or only black woman working on it. And most people, when they see me, and you ask people, hey, what do you do? And they like, oh, you work supply. Like, no, I don't work supply. So don't judge a book by the cover.
I'm kind of curious about how many kind of specialties there are on helicopter mechanics. For instance, probably somebody works on the engine, the drivetrain, somebody else does the blades, somebody else does the electronics. So about how many different specialties?
So on the Apaches, you have an avionics person that works on all the wire. But the crew chief mostly works, they do everything other than wire. So I change out engines when I have to, I replace all the other components. I replace, we call them black boxes, I replace those if I have to. We do have an engine shop, but they usually do the overhauls on the engine when you pull them out.
Thank you.
You plan on staying in Tucson after you retire?
Yes. Yes. I bought a house and everything. Two houses. Yeah, I have my little, I live southwest, so I have like an acre of land. And yeah. That's my house until I go to a retirement facility. That's what I said.
You mentioned earlier you were stationed in California for a while,
No, I went to training out in
training in California, but it was too hot up.
No, it wasn't too hot, it was just hot out in the field, in the dirt, because they had us out in, just in the dirt for 2 weeks.
I was just wondering how it compares to the heat out at the airport. It's hot here.
Yeah, but you know, it's the driving, but yeah, it's just different, because you can like go home. Like when I'm in training or when I'm overseas, you can't go home. And I thought Tucson was hot in the hill, but then when I spent summer in Afghanistan, it was 120 degrees, and I thought how the hell was it dry? No.
You said you started out as communications person?
Yes,
This may be an offside question, do they, look for people with sign language skills in communications to the Army? Cause I have a friend that.
they have legal assist, but for sign language, no,
No, but
not that I know of.
Good.
Okay.
Could you comment on the next line of helicopters coming, what they'll be able to do and fight for?
Well, for the Apache world, they have the Echo model, which is more beefed up. The blades are shorter, it's supposed to have the transmission is bigger, the generators are bigger, so they're supposed to be able to stay in the air a lot longer. The rest of the aircraft, I do not know, because they had started building new aircraft and then they helicopters and then they stopped. So that's all I can tell you.
You have to have all your FAA certifications as well.
For the Army, we do not, but I do have my tickets and we do have some people that work on the Lakotas that have their A&P license. Yes. Yeah, I think I'm done.
Thank you so much. It's interesting. Thank you. We'll do the treasurer's report for the.
Just to start, thank you for being here. And I wrote down one thing you said. Being there and doing my part. That's what we all did. Thank you. This is the treasurer's report from July 1st to the 31st. Started with a balance of $2,243.35. On July the 2nd, I made a deposit of $1,286, which was comprised of $86 from the can and $175 from a lifetime membership from Steve Morris and a $25 donation, Charles Ingalls or Chuck, for the Veterans Pantry. And $1,000 from Roger Daggett, which went towards the chicken dinner. On July the 8th, I made it, or there was a $231.17 deposit into our account from PayPal, which was ticket sales for the chicken dinner. And then on the 10th, I made a deposit of $710, which was $580 from ticket sales and $130 from bingo donations, and I left it. And bingo donations are again every month bingo donations are right up there. And thank everybody who goes to bingo, thanks to Timothy K who run the bingo. I get a note, sometimes it has all the names, sometimes it's partial, but Stephen, $35, Nancy, $5. Somebody, Farrell, $20. This one I know, Shirley Anderson. Thank you, Shirley. By the way, anybody that knows Shirley Anderson was Miss March Air Force Base. I didn't have very good eyesight in those days. I don't know how that happened. And $20 from Carol Taylor. Thank you, Carol. That was again $130 received. And on the 14th, I made a deposit of $179, which was $86, which was from a 50-50 at the door we sold. And Larry, Vice President, won the 50-50 and donated it all back in to the club. And $95 at the door, just donations. Expenses were $60 from Senior Donut. And Abrams. But on the 14th, we had a $514.01 expense for the barbecue. And also on the 30th, we had an expense of $67.59, which Carol Taylor fronted the money for the mayor's meet greet. That's the vetting for donuts and water for the veteran, for the mayor's meet greet. We got that.
Cookies, and people can take them today too.
Oh, and help myself.
Yes.
Cookies and water today. That left us a closing balance of $3,499.55 on the 31st. Questions? Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna have Dick too come up, he wants to talk about the shirts that we can have monogrammed with sunflower on and our music, so it's used it today.
Some of you newer members may not be aware of this, but Don Seymour and I, probably close to 20 years ago, the front desk used to handle the embroidering of shirts and everything. When they dropped it, the club picked it up as a no-profit service to the community. And until before COVID, we used to regularly sell quite a few shirts. Since COVID, there's not as much interest. We're going to be reviewing things at the board meeting, but we're making some changes, and I'm back involved But I am gonna need an assistant because my two main assistants, Jim Smith and Don Schmidt, and I are getting kind of long in the tooth, and it's a rather complicated affair to keep track of it, so I know it's difficult to get a volunteer out of this group, but I'd like to have somebody step forward. The other change that's happened is we've had a box of samples to be for people to try on for more than 15 years. And the lady that does the embroidery has donated them to the club. So everything on the left side of that table back there, not the red shirts, but the others, were given to us. And when you buy one, and hopefully you will, the cost of the shirt portion of what you pay will be coming to our treasury. And a first sale was already made today because there was a beautiful jacket that was purchased by one of our friends of the organization. And they got it for 15-year-old prices, and it's a very nice jacket. On the right-hand side, I fronted with my own money some red shirts to cut down on the delay that it takes. And Malcolm is holding up the one that he picked up today. And the club is encouraging people that if you're gonna get one shirt, you get a red one, so that we have more emphasis when we have some kinds of meetings. Everybody in red will look more uniform, etc. So that's what I have, and if you have an interest, you pay on delivery, so you don't have to have any money with you. And I can answer questions later. Thank you.
It did. Want to say something?
Excuse me.
Did you want to say something?
Would you stand up, George?
Yeah. That's it.
Sharon has decided to hire a model to fill out.
They have any name on site?
Thank you, George.
Are you sure you don't want to struck the one way?
Yeah, right? Six away. Right?
There you go.
So, the microphone. Oh, sorry about that. Now, can you hear me? I usually, my mouth is enough. But anyway, we need, our, full barbecue is coming up October 4th. So for September's meeting, I will have a volunteer sheet that we need to have some volunteers. And then also, Lisa came to me and asked if we would do the cooking for Music Under the Stars, if that we would do that. So it was decided that we would do that, but we want to need a few volunteers, my husband Bob and Billy Lackey. They're gonna man the grill, but we probably could use another person, and then we need other people to help. I think maybe 4 or 5 volunteers would probably suffice. And that Music Under the Stars is October 7th. So we could use some volunteers for both events. All right. Now, I need to welcome, are there any new or returning attendees?
Us cooking is in lieu of the station
Yes, yes,
doing the cooking, and we're gonna make the money
yes,
for the sale of the burgers instead of the station.
yes.
So
We'll provide all the
a
food.
net
Yes,
profit,
so that'll
Just-
come back to us.
restating it.
Yes, so, thought that would be a good venture for us to help some money to come into our club, and, we're glad to do it. Any new or returning attendees? Anything for the good of the cause? So I guess we're adjourned. God bless, and everybody stay cool and healthy.
Oh,